You may start the
Good
meeting.
afternoon. Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Trustees, second meeting of the month of March, March 15th. We thought spring was in the air, but then the cold winter miser came back out and is giving us a nice cold splash of winter to not forget what it felt like the last couple of months. But I hope everybody's well. We are enjoying signs of spring here in the village. The daffodils are coming up, the crocus are coming up, and the temperature was coming up except for today. So just want to welcome everybody again, March 15th, Board of Trustees hearing. Our first order of business before we go into a public hearing will be the approval of the minutes from our March 1st meeting. Are there any comments, additions, adjustments, or corrections from any board members or administrative staff to the minutes?
No corrections. They look good to me.
Okay, thank you. So Kevin, you okay over there? Take that as a yes. Kevin, you good?
Totally. Yep, all good. All good.
Okay, so we're going to start a public hearing for an adoption to our code, section 250-37.2. And this is to regulate vacant buildings and storefronts. Basically, it is a concept that we are seeing being implemented out in the Hamptons, specifically East Hampton and Southampton. And so we would like to model the code after those townships. And this will be the start of a program where we are going to be enforcing signage and having people clean up their vacant buildings and other buildings come springtime now. So the proposed code is available and calls for a owner of vacant property to have display artwork now in their windows. And so what I'd like to do is refer this to Attorney Egan for any further explanation before we open to comments from the Board of Trustees and then comments to the public.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Your summary was fully accurate. This is a proposed law to regulate vacant storefronts in the village of Port Jefferson. There are technical requirements to the law, but in the broadest strokes, vacant storefront would be considered a storefront that has been vacant, where no person conducts any kind of a business for a period of 1 month or more. Then talks about the details of what the window display would be. The village is going to develop some potential design guidelines to assist property owners and business owners in their displays, but there are certain basic minimums which this law sets out. For instance, that a covering would cover at least a minimum of 50% of the storefront window. So it couldn't be just a little tiny corner, but it would be at least 50% of the window. The question is, why wouldn't it be 100% of the window? Law enforcement and emergency services generally don't like 100% of a window cover, so they can actually see inside, especially in vacant properties and structures. So that's the reason why it would be at least a minimum of 50%. Any adhesive that would be used would not be visible from the outside. All the windows would be maintained in a clean, neat, and orderly manner. If there was a sculpture display or some other display, it would at least be no further than 3 feet from the interior of the window. So it can't be set so far back that it wouldn't really be a visual window display. If it was going to be lighted, it would not be lit by the means of a floodlight facing forward, but would be in some way shielded so that it wouldn't disturb passing motorists and passengers, but it could still provide an illumination. Window coverings such as drapes, blinds, curtains would not be considered an artistic display. And then any of the proposed window displays would be installed and approved prior to installation by the building inspector or his designee, someone in the building department. That really is the summary of the law. We would envision that there would be a period of public education where we would reach out to the commercial property owners, where we would educate them as to what their requirements are and then assist them through this. And it really is a beautification effort on behalf of the village to improve these properties and the visual landscape of the village. It's not meant as a punitive measure, but as a a community measure to make the village look the best it can.
And so just for clarification, the properties are included in the C1, C2, and the waterfront districts are M1 and M2. And
Correct.
although the language says storefront, this would be any window in any building located within those districts, correct?
Correct. That's vacant. Yes.
Okay, so it could have been a building that was its prior use was an office building,
Yes.
but just
Correct.
because we use the language storefront doesn't mean that that building would not be included in this.
That's correct.
Okay. We have started to compile a list of artists. I know we have on our second floor of our village center, we have art shows. So we've started to compile a resource list of willing artists to lend artwork. We are letting that relationship go between the landlord, the property owner, and the artist. The village is not going to get involved in that, but we are giving them some direction. If they'd like to hang some nice artwork, we're giving them some direction as to where they can make contact. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the board for any comments, clarification, or questions.
I'll comment. So I just wanted to say that as a freshman trustee who's coming in and seeing a broader view of all of the village's efforts to, especially focusing on the uptown, but throughout the entire village to revitalize Port Jefferson, this is a great step in the short-term category. And some having looking on social media and conversations with other residents, they might see this as putting lipstick on a pig, colloquially, but this is, the flip side of that, another perspective is to say, and I can vouch for this, having been in work sessions with other, the board of trustees and the mayor and everyone here, this is one of the board's short-term beautification efforts and revitalization efforts, so that in the short term, there is something positive happening, while the longer term plans, which take time bureaucratically, not just in Port Jeff Village, but in the county, in the state, as those things come through, I'm just very excited about this as something, in the short term while the long term comes through.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Rebecca. I appreciate that comment. Bruce Miller, you had a comment, please?
Yeah, I guess
Question?
it's not, you say it's not designed to be punitive, but we are going to be doing some enforcement up there. The places have been neglected. Thank you.
Yeah, I think on that end, Kathy Ann, you want to comment?
Yeah, about the uptown specifically?
Well, about enforcement and the steps that we're taking there as well.
Yes. So like Mr. Egan said, it's the purpose is not about punitive issues, but it's more about beautifying the village, and we are going to be working with the businesses to assist them in doing this. So it's not going to be a short-term run out there and start hammering businesses on their neglect of this new code. There's going to be, I'm sure, a grace period where we'll give them time to bring this about. In the meantime, we will be having, and this is more in my report, about a dedicated officer on Main Street to be a sort of ambassador to help these businesses to be available up and down Main Street for a multitude of reasons, whatever it may be that a business owner may need, or a resident or a visitor may need, and help us with the enforcement at the time when the time comes to enforce this code.
Yeah, and also, Mr. Harris has just finished training, the state, code training, as well as Allison LaPointe and 3 of our code officers. So that team, we're meeting with them, Mr. Harris, tomorrow to roll out a new enforcement effort to really, and I'll say it, to clean these properties up. Some of them have been neglected, and that issue goes well beyond window dressing. So, this is a step in a positive direction for those willing partners who want to help us, turn the way things look around. But we will be doing enforcement, and the rollout, I think, Brian, as you alluded to, there'll be a rollout period We're going to be reaching out to property owners, and the enforcement will start and implementation will start no later. And I think we were comfortable with saying May 1st. So we just want to get everything rolling in that right direction. Stan, do you have any comment?
Just that I'd like to echo what Rebecca said. I totally agree that, the 2 or 3 stores that I've seen that have already done something to their windows, it makes a big difference rather than look at a store with a for lease sign on it and graffiti on it. And I think this is a great step in the right direction.
So thank you, Stan. Barbara, as a result of the public notice, has anybody reached out to you via email?
Nope, currently, no.
Okay, and Kevin, do we have any comment on YouTube streaming right now
No,
or questions?
I've been monitoring it. There's no comments or questions.
Anybody looking to sign in or signal in?
There is not.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll leave this open until the end of our meeting, and we'll close the public portion in case somebody chimes in a little bit later during this meeting, and we'll move on with our agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. There's a lot of you can see employee hiring here, and this is, you can tell we're ramping up for our seasonal country club hires and getting our beaches ready. So items 1 and 2 pertain specifically, and I'm sorry, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6 pertain specifically to the Port Jeff Country Club, part-time and seasonal staff. Barbara, have you received everything you need? Obviously, they don't get on the agenda with your approval and clearance, correct? You and Joe?
I don't have all of the packets yet because they complete those on their start date, but I have everything from the department head.
And Stan, have you been involved with this process? Or has there been an effort to hire Port Jeff Village?
Yes, that's always been the priority.
Yep.
Port Jeff Village, youngsters, oldsters.
Mhm.
The list is extensive, and the reason for that is that we have come and go.
Yeah. So some are new to the village and some are rehires,
Absolutely.
correct? Yeah.
Correct.
So just double check and double down on the salaries, if it's a starting salary or a returning salary. That would be my only request.
And the new minimum wage is $14 an hour.
Correct. So that brings everything up a level. Kevin, Mr. Wood also has number 7 are 2 seasonal parking ambassadors. These are young individuals. Are these high school students, Kevin?
High school students, Port Jeff residents.
Great.
One came back from last year.
Nice. That will be helping as parking ambassadors, helping people figure out how to use the meters, if they have any questions. They've done a great job in the last couple of years, and we're very happy to have them back in action. The start dates are coming soon because this village was open and ready for business this past weekend. It was bouncing down here. Any questions on the initiatives for hiring 2 through 7? Good job. Number 8, we have a renewal of some of the big bellies. The big bellies are the solar powered trash compactor units here in the village. We have room in the budget to reach out and procure 10 new big bellies. And we will be taking the older big bellies and sort of swapping them out and migrating the older ones out to the outer skirts. We have 20 total, correct? Is that correct, Joe?
Yes, it is.
So we're going to utilize what we can of the big bellies. Some of them, the electronics are not working properly. Some are just aged and have taken on a tremendous amount of wear and tear. So the replacements will go in the prime, lower and upper port locations. We'll move the others out, and we'll scrap the ones that are no longer able to be of service.
A question on that.
Sure.
I remember when speaking about the recycling sculpture and all, sort of trash refuse related conversation with parks and maintenance, the big bellies were sort of an issue, and there was a question on whether or not we were going to continue with them. Are the new big bellies a different model? Have they been improved in the ways that were breaking down and concerning previously?
Well, they are new models. The good news is with the new model, we will be getting the foot pedal option. So you no longer have to grab the bar to open it. It does have new technology, but it's still just, it compacts any garbage that is delivered to the receptacle. It is the dual station, so you have the trash in the one that compacts, and then you have the recycle that sits adjacent to it, which does not compact. So in terms of the new software and the foot pedal and the new model, I believe it's a little bit bigger footprint, but not much bigger. That's the extent of the additions to these receptacles.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
I imagine that it's been a conversation with the maintenance and parks folks who are going to be handling all these, that they're enthusiastic about moving forward with those.
That's correct.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep, Bruce, Mr. Miller? Bruce, you need to unmute, please.
Apologize for that. Joe, is the footprint going to be the same? You're talking about recycling and trash separate, one unit? Is that what we're talking about? And what is the size of this?
They're double stations, and the footprint is going to be pretty consistent with the existing big bellies that we currently have.
Yes.
How do we do for overflow? We've had some issues with that in the past. How are we making out with that? Well,
I think with the introduction of the big bellies several years ago, I think the overflow has been brought to a minimum. Now, at the beginning of COVID, obviously we had to add some additional receptacles throughout the village because there were a lot of people visiting the parks and getting out during warmer days after being inside for a long period of time. But as I understand it, with the compaction of these big bellies, that we really have not run into any issues in the heart of the village with respect to overflow in these garbage receptacles.
Well, except for if you're trying to stuff a pizza box into the mouth of a big belly, obviously
If somebody
it's going
clogs
to,
it.
but the reason the Department of Public Works was agreeable to restoring and renewing the program is because they do compact and they eliminate the need for them to come down, and they're also covered, so we don't have a lot of bees and other things getting into the garbage. While we're relocating some of the big bellies, Joe, see if there's the opportunity to relocate one or two inside Harborfront Park. I know we have a station by the rinks, but maybe we can get one actually in the park, because I know last year, in COVID, when everybody was doing takeaway food, we had an excess amount of garbage down at the park, and that was an issue at that point in time.
Will do.
Thank you for comment on that. Next item is for engineering services during our retaining wall projects to be provided by Vacant and Bartolucci. This is to have the engineer go down during the project, both for the East Beach project and the Highlands project, to check in on the contractor during the project, make sure everything is being done pursuant to the plans. We have a steep slope there at the East Beach retaining wall. We want to make sure that to protect the village's interest, that's being done pursuant to the plan. And we unfortunately don't have a licensed engineer on staff here at the village, so we thought it was prudent to have this service provided by D&B. Joe, you want to expand on that at all?
You summed it up pretty well. This is going to be over 30 to 40 working days, 64 total hours, 8 hours per week. So the engineers, inspectors, and our inspector here will supplement each other. We will make sure that our engineers are well aware of any serious construction where they may need to be out. So for example, the dead men installation that is going to anchor the timber wall as you go up, we'll make sure that the engineers are here on site to inspect that. And we'll make sure that where it is important for inspection, that the engineers are here on site.
All right, but on an ongoing basis, our building inspectors will also be present, but
That is correct.
it's not one or the other. It's in addition to.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, we have a correction to our minutes for a start date for our custodian one. Rebecca, I'm just skipping over 11 because I think 11 is going to be a little bit more of a hopefully a good conversation. We have a resignation to accept from a code officer, and 13 is we're setting a public hearing, and that is to eliminate now. So you can park currently on Caroline. You could park parallel to where the new parking lot or Barnum parking lot is. And what we're doing here is eliminating the ability for people to park along the street by the new parking lot. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's a very tight space there. And if we have cars parked adjacent to that parking lot, which we expect more cars to be traveling in that direction now that the parking lot is open and available for parking and there's no spaces, that they may see that as an opportunity or a location to park, which would create a tremendous amount of congestion, people trying to turn onto Caroline from Barnum. So the no parking will be from Randall east on the north side to Barnum.
And I think that's just in keeping with helping the residents that live directly across from the new parking lot to keep a little more peace in their neighborhood. We can approve the warrants. I didn't see anything outstanding in the warrants. Great job again from the treasurer's office. Thank you, Denise. Large minimum check going out to service our country club members to make sure they get their minimum cards in hand. And with that, I'm going to come back up to number 11. And this is Rebecca's resolution. So Rebecca, I'm going to hand the ball to you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mayor. So as following up from the presentation that I gave at the previous meeting on the Community Garden Committee's proposals for how we might proceed to launch a pilot project for a 16-bed community garden pilot here in Port Jefferson Village. The resolution is to approve the pilot project for a community garden of 16 beds at the Beach Street Village Parkland. This would be the start of a project as described in the very long initial packet sent out to everybody. And then in the agenda today, there was only 3 pages, Stan, that hopefully you were more pleased to. Yeah, I practiced brevity and answered questions that were sent as a follow-up to my presentation last meeting. So if anyone else has thoughts or questions, please feel free. Otherwise, the committee is very ambitious and excited to launch the project. I have started collecting the information of residents and community members who are excited about it as well. There's people who want to provide programming, people who want to attend the programming, public education, people who already want to know how to rent these beds. It's already buzzing. So, if everyone is in favor, then we're ready to go.
I'd like to just embellish the resolution. I did check with the treasurer, and we have some funds that we can assist the startup. So I'd like to amend the resolution to add that $4,000 from our beautification budget be used, and that is specifically for the water hookup and for to get the raised beds, materials for the raised beds. I saw your budget. I think that 4,000 will get you guys in the right direction. You have some decisions to make about, deer fencing and what type, but that seed money will help you also get things rolling for more donations to come in and get the rental of the beds going. So
Without a doubt,
hook-
thank you.
hooking up the water, I think, is the first step. And since that's part of the infrastructure and it is a Port Jefferson Park, I felt that that was an appropriate use of the village's, the monies. Is there any objection from the board? I think we're good to go. So with that, I will look for a motion to approve items 1 through 14.
Moved.
So moved by trustee Miller, seconded by Rebecca Cassay. Trustee Cassay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. I think you folks should have gotten your packages from the treasurer last week. Our budget hearing is at the next meeting of the Board of Trustees on April 5th. I really have to commend Denise and the department and all of department heads, Joe and Barbara, for working with them, putting together a great budget. There was a gap of a little over 600,000 that we had to meet. We did that by, working a little magic again upstairs there, Denise. But also, you had some explanations in the summary of the email. But I think it's a budget we can be very proud of, especially coming out of a pandemic, the size that we had here in the global pandemic. So again, we're just proud to have that. You guys have your sheets. If you have questions, please, we're here to help. It's complicated sometimes, especially for the freshmen and even for the tried and true. COVID updates, guys, you can see that things are starting to come back to normal. I think everybody's looking to come back to normal as more and more people are getting vaccinated. The world is opening up a little bit, but I just really want to press upon us all here that we really don't want it to open up that fast. I heard Italy is back in a complete lockdown. Other states with no mandates for wearing masks. It's kind of like leaving your air conditioning, putting your air conditioning on and leaving the front and back door open. We still have to be pretty certain here that, we want to follow the guidelines. We want to protect those who are still unvaccinated. And, restaurants are allowed to open up to 75% capacity starting, I think it's this coming Friday. You'll see other numbers are starting to increase in terms of numbers of people that can gather. Programs are starting to open up. We have opened up Rocket Ship Park as of Saturday. It opened as of 8 o'clock in the morning till dusk. Outdoor activities as the weather, gets warmer you'll see more and more. And I think with our not-for-profits, more and more of them are going back to putting things on the calendar to get their fundraisers back and their outdoor activities back. So just remain diligent, remain careful. Please continue to wear your mask when you're out in public. Please follow the guidelines. We want to get over this and into the clear zone. Joe, are you having a construction management meeting with the retaining wall contractor?
Yes, on Monday.
Okay, so and then we expect construction to happen, can we say before April or first week of April?
I would say definitely before then. They were checking with their suppliers to see if they had material available, but I would assume within the next week to 3 weeks, if not sooner, they will be able to start.
Okay, and then also there was the question of whether or not the East Beach driveway or road had to be closed during that construction. So we'll have to get back to you folks because we're not sure. Again, it's a steep slope. They're bringing in a lot of material. We may have to close the road down during certain sections of that construction. Again, various roadway projects that are going to be happening here. I can't wait for the weather to warm up a little bit more. West Broadway, really, I'd like to see DOT back there working on finishing that sidewalk and getting that road repaved as soon as the asphalt plant's open. And you're also going to start to see the traffic signal at the bottom of Old Post Road and Main Street come in. DOT is going to start working on that corner, and they should, that traffic signal stoplight should be installed. So all of a sudden, you have a lot of road work here in the village, and that's with respect to those two projects. Parks Department is well underway and ramping up for spring. They're putting the picnic tables out. They're getting planting projects scheduled. They've been meeting with Joe, getting the beaches up and ready. I think that we wanted to get a jump start on that because there is just a huge push for people to get outdoors and enjoy each other and enjoy being in a beautiful place. We will be doing a special dedication this spring. That little park by Fifth Season is going to get spruced up, and we'll have 2 benches coming. We're going to be doing a special dedication. One of those benches will be dedicated to Jerry Spiliotis by his family, and the second bench is going to be dedicated to Mr. Peter Graham from his family. 2 of the best guys you could ever want, dedicated service to this village. Benches side by side, so those guys we can remember them sitting next to each other and having a good chat. That area was selected because, of course, the Fifth Season property there is still owned by the Spiliotis family, and we thought it was a good spot for them to do a special dedication for our 2 long lost friends. We're going to be putting out some language to do an RFP for the snack stand down at the East Beach. Something I'm going to get in front of Joe and Brian before the end of this week. Basically, it'll just be a couple dates that the snack stand will be open for people to come down. Anybody interested in providing a concession to look at it. It's honestly, folks, it's like an 8 by 12 rusted out bucket. It's got some water and it's got some electric. So we're going to be looking for some real creative proposals, but we'll put the parameters together. And if there's somebody who wants to provide a snack stand for us through the summer months, have at it. With that, I'm going to pass the torch to Deputy Mayor Laux. He's got a lot on his plate this time.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We'll start off with the country club. We've scheduled to open our golf course on April 1st. Hopefully we can get back on that golf course. We started the aeration program, but we had to come to a stop because of the freeze up. So we're aiming for the 24th of this month to open. We hope we can still make the 24th if Mother Nature cooperates with us. The opening day for tennis is still set for the 15th of April. You mentioned earlier the minimum check went out. I want to tell your members, you will have those minimum cards in your hands prior to the opening date. We've been promised that that's going to happen. The turn is scheduled to open April 1st. I think there was a big ad on Facebook today that somebody put up there. I don't know who it was, but April 1st, the turn is going to open, and I think we are going to be in better shape this year. We've hired back Andrea. I think you all remember Andrea from the turn. She's going to be managing the staff up there, and I think it's going to be a big improvement. Membership in golf and tennis both, very, very healthy. We had Danielle come in and work an extra day. We were swamped with members. Right now we have 221 tennis members signed up. As of 1:30 this afternoon, there were 407 golf members, and there was still a good sized stack on her desk that had to be processed. We're going to get all new LED lighting installed on our tennis courts this year. Those will be installed prior to the opening date on the 15th. Reference to the village center, the ice skating has come to a close. We had a very, very successful year this year in terms of skaters and revenue. The farmers market is still indoors at the center, and they will remain there until May 2nd, I believe. They're there every Sunday. Speaking of art, we have a new art show up on the second floor at the center. It's presented by the Smithtown Artist Group. In recreation, we presently have 77 children signed up for our summer camps. We still have openings. If you have a child who wants to get involved in summer camp, it's closing out quickly. The outdoor youth tennis programs are scheduled to start on April 23rd, and these programs also fill up quickly. If you're interested in getting into those, we better get down to the rec center and get signed up. We've rescheduled the village resident golf outing for August 25th. We're going to go after it this year and try to make that a successful program. The Adult Softball League is going to start their schedule on April 21st. I want to remind all residents, I say this at every board meeting, about the vessel racks. We have a lot of requests for vessels, kayaks, canoes, and paddle boards. You've got to make application for a permit to get one of these racks. So they will fill up fast. If you haven't done so and you want a rack, you've got to go down to the village clerk's office and make application. Finally, we're still accepting applications for summer jobs. We have quite a few counselor positions open, and we have plenty of lifeguard positions open. These are good summer jobs for our youngsters. Again, you have to get down to the rec center and make application for these jobs. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Stan, I have one question.
Go.
I'm so happy to hear about the membership with tennis and golf being what it is. I'm wondering if there's a limit for either golf or tennis or both. Is there a cutoff limit on the number of members?
Well, right now, no. I hope we get to the point where we need to have a cutoff. We have talked about it. Past years, we've had as many as 260 tennis members. And believe it or not, we've had 800 golf members. We would never allow it to get to that number. I believe, in fairness to the people who join, to get playing time, if we ever get to a number in the 500 area, we would be talking about some kind of a waiting list.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, in the years past, Stan, in the days where we had those types of numbers, it was, current members were kind of grandfathered in up to a certain date, and then they rolled off, and it became a little bit more competitive, shall we say, to join.
Yeah, believe it or not, even with those kind of numbers, we really had little trouble getting onto the golf course.
Yeah. So thanks. Great report. Bruce Miller, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Am I unmuted?
You are.
Okay, excellent. All right. So I did a walking and driving tour with Dave Milius last week, and so just to kind of report on different locales and parks. West Beach, the parking lot and the lower bluff are still ugly. I have spoken with Stephen Uccellini of J&R Holzmacher, and he is going forward with a plan that has finally been approved by DEC. The plan calls for, if you can imagine looking parallel to the beach at the edge of the parking lot where the washout is, there would be a 40-foot cement base and wall. So basically you would have a 40-foot long L-shaped wall that would have a 7-foot base and be about 5 feet high and would come above the level of the parking lot so that it would stop rushing water. I was down by the garden. I think Rebecca's got a nice location there. full disclosure, I'm interested. So thank you for that.
We'll get you on the sign-up list, Bruce.
Okay. Well, the parking lot looks good. It's adjacent to the ball field. I regret that as many large trees had to come down. I spoke with Karen regarding the garden, and she's very positive about it. And so it should be a good location. And now that Margot's gotten you some money for the plumbing, etc., that's also a good thing. The boardwalk near the brewery is being redone as we speak. The village has charge of part of that boardwalk, and the proprietors have responsibility for the rest. We'll see how that finally turns out. That's about what I have for right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Kathy Ann, Steve?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I'd like to update you on the bicycle task force and what's new there. In addition to our partnership, our ongoing partnership with Suffolk County Police Department, we have, you'll be noticing around the village, some new signs that go along with our See Something, Say Something campaign for public safety. These signs, and I have it on my phone, I can kind of show it, it might be backwards, but it's gonna look like this. So if anybody sees any unruly behavior, dangerous bicycles, any kind of problems within the village, the number is right there throughout prime locations in the village to give us a call and have a code officer immediately respond. There is also, I mentioned earlier, going to be a dedicated Main Street code officer, at least one. I'm hoping for maybe two that will just be on foot throughout their shift, throughout Main Street and the prime locations, the parking lots, to assist anybody that needs the assistance, to be an ambassador to our businesses, our visitors, and our residents. So I'm happy to report that. In addition, there will be coverage of an officer during the change of shifts. There will never be a time during the day and during those change of shifts when there will be no officers available. So we've made a change with our chief, Fred Lute, to have that scheduling change done. We're also working on having code officers on bicycles throughout the village, again, to be more present, more visible, and more available to our business owners, our residents, and our visitors. So I'm happy to report on that. Barnum Lot, we talked about that a little bit. It did open today. It was scheduled to open today. I believe that did happen. And that's going to be free parking moving forward. There will be a QR code to check in with your phone just to register your location, but there is no charge for that parking. So I am happy to say that that lot is finally open. It's been a long time coming, and I thank Kevin Wood and all his hard work in the Parks Department for getting that up and running, and Joe on that project as well. You guys were there and have been there and are still there, and oftentimes I drive by and I see you guys there doing the work on that lot. So we're proud of that lot, and I thank you all for your hard work. Yeah.
Sorry, just a point of clarification for if somebody parks there, are they required to check in on the app for the free parking?
Yes, we would like that to happen. Required, there's no enforcement. You won't be ticketed for not, but it is helpful for us to know who's there, how long they're there. The enforcement that will happen is to the overnight parking. There is no overnight parking allowed in that lot. So it will be definitely monitored, and tickets will be issued for anybody doing the overnight parking. But as far as the checking in, that's going to help us as we move forward on how to better manage that lot for whoever it is that uses it. Obviously, residents can use it as well, but even visitors don't need the resident sticker in order to have the free parking. That's free for everybody at this time. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And then I wanted to update everybody on our newsletter. I had talked about that at our last few meetings. Our first issue has gone out and been distributed and is available if anybody would like to see it on our website or to sign up. So those newsletters, as they continue monthly to be sent right to your email inbox. We got a lot of fantastic feedback. There was a lot of great information in that. And we welcome everybody to sign up for that, to be in the know and know what's going on, throughout the village in our many different departments. So I'm happy to report that that has so far been in a success, an early success, but I'm happy about it. And that concludes my report.
Excellent. Thanks, Kathy Ann.
You're welcome.
Rebecca.
Thank you. Yes, just to echo, the report was great. It was, obviously being a trustee, we're all in the know already, but just to see every sort of the highlights all together was really nice to see, gratifying. And then to know that it's so readily accessible, for a quick 10-minute read for a resident to say what are the major things happening in the village. So highly recommended for that. For my report, first, thank you to the board, to the mayor for supporting this, the Community Garden Committee's pilot project. Very excited about that. We've been working hard and we'll work even harder now. So quite excited to continue reporting on that moving forward. The planning board has been continually busy and very interesting. Any residents who are sort of curious about what's going on, building wise in the village, always encourage you to tune into the planning board sessions. If you're tuned into this now, you could do the same thing for the planning boards. They are the second Thursday of every month. So the next is April 8th. And there will be a hearing or a review for the apartment building that is being proposed for 1 North Country, which is where the Lobster House was. Or the building still is, but the restaurant was there. So the Gito group will be bringing a presentation for what they would like to put there to the planning board, and you too can attend and listen to that, and then send your comments in. And that, just to reiterate, it's so. I spoke to one of my neighbors the other day, and they said, well, I just feel like my voice doesn't mean anything. And we're not a huge village here. One of the big reasons I became a trustee was because I myself went to meetings and saw how much my voice can make a difference in the village. And so I really encourage people to use their voices, through the channels, emailing village employees, email your trustees. We do respond, we hear you, and those comments make a big difference in this village. Social media doesn't really get it done. We don't like being tagged at 9 p.m. on a Saturday. We're probably, that's not going to get it done as well as an email. So attend the meetings, ask your questions, make your comments. It really makes a big difference. So that is the next big project that's being proposed for revitalization uptown. I saw a sneak peek of it. I believe Trustee Snaden and the ARC did as well. And it's exciting to see revitalization continuing on. The other project they're continuing to work on is the 116 West Broadway, which they passed the approval for. And so we're going to be seeing the ferry office buildings coming in. Those are not, as much as we don't, I do see social media. And so I saw there was some confusion as to whether or not those were village offices or ferry offices. They're very much ferry offices. They don't have anything to do with the village itself. The village has to approve, what is built in the village. And so as of right, the building owners, the ferry company could build that. And so the planning board approved that. It's a beautiful building, in my personal opinion, and it will be lovely to have those there. It's part of the ferry company has a long-term plan to change a lot of what's going on for their terminal. So that is also partially public. You can, look into seeing that as well. Those are the two big things with the planning board. Moving forward, beach cleanups. I was contacted by Hometown Hope, which is a new 501c3 nonprofit here in Port Jefferson Village, about hosting a beach cleanup here in the village. I know that we usually work with Coastal Steward, and so I'm trying to connect those two organizations. Hometown Hope has said that Pete Murphy, who helps facilitate a lot of the boating works here in town, has offered his help as well. So there is a tentative date for that. Here we go. So of April 18th. So April 18th, tentative beach cleanup, trying to coordinate with the two nonprofits. Otherwise,
So Rebecca, with the beach cleanups, and Barbara, maybe you can confirm this. We've tried to see if we could get a dumpster donated for the day, so that, you know, a lot of times we've pulled out tires and bags of debris. So the dumpster on site helps.
absolutely.
So if you need that level of coordination, please let us know.
Perfect, thank you. And we will, once we hear back from Coastal Steward, I will absolutely reach out, and that could be very helpful. I know with the last storm, especially that we had, you know, I was walking the beach and we saw pieces of docks and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Right.
So once we have a solid date, we'll be reaching out to everyone. It's a great way for youth to get their community service hours in. And then in just about a month after that, we could be expecting our beach baskets, which will be a constant beach cleanup opportunity. So that is my report for this week.
Thank you. And I think I'm remiss because I didn't see in my report the biggest news that could have ever happened in the course of the last 18 months was that on Friday, our building and planning department issued the building permit for the Conifer project, which is the main project coming over the tracks on the right-hand side. The building, I know I've been speaking about it, but the permit was issued. It couples in the demolition permit. So the big buildings on the right-hand side, the bada bing, see you later, will be coming down.
Bada bye.
Bada bye. And hopefully we'll be having a bulldozer party there. I want to say in the next couple weeks, actually. They're very anxious to get working. I want to thank Brian Egan. You guys did a yeoman's lift. I think our department did a yeoman's lift. The whole village did a yeoman's lift to get this project in. I don't really think that anyone really behind, sees what happens behind the scenes. But guys, it's been about 3 years after the master plan and the revitalization plan and of implementation of planning. And now we're going to see this lead project come to fruition. It's a big deal for the village. Trust me. So proud of you guys for making it happen.
That's really exciting, Mayor. I didn't get that memo, so very.
Yeah, it's kind of like a 3 o'clock Friday afternoon, like woohoo. So that's great news. I love seeing these old blighted buildings being repurposed. The Suffolk County Water Authority building, the brick building on 116 West Broadway that has stood across from Village Hall, empty, unoccupied for over 14 years. It's great to see that it's going to be put to use and repurposed. I also want to let everybody know the next to the Port Jeff Harbor Club that's coming into town. The building on the corner of Beach and West Broadway is in full contract to be purchased by a new owner who is going to completely renovate the building and bring us back a deli. So there's a lot going on in this town, in the village, as far as revitalization. It's good to see it happen. It's good to see the hammers swinging and people at work here. Attorney Egan, do you have anything further to report?
Nothing further, Mayor. You covered it all great, so thanks very much.
You're welcome, Brian. I did see some communication going back and forth with you and counsel from LIPA. So I think we're making some headway on a little correction to us, correct?
Yeah, that's taking its time to get there. I've had extensive meetings with our village tax assessor, Paul D'Amato, to review some of those revisions, which are positive to us.
Right.
Incrementally, but hopefully in the next, I've said this a couple of times, but hopefully the next meeting, I'll be able to have that buttoned up and report to the board.
Great. Thank you very much, Brian. I know.
Question?
Yes, Bruce.
Brian, you have any, I know you don't have a full update, but you have any partial updates? They're talking about settling with Nassau County. Nassau County is talking about having a similar term to Northport. Do you know where we're at with that, how that affects us?
So it really is, Nassau County is being driven by the Huntington settlement, obviously, too. You know, we kind of set the floor, and then Huntington moved their meter a little bit on their settlement. So I think Nassau County is just trying to get in between those two and pretty much the same place we are to make sure that they've got the best deal that's equal proportionally for their plants, for our plants, and Huntington's plants, that everyone has the same deal.
Yeah.
I would say that I would just say that maybe as a teaser that the Huntington change for the deal they got is not that substantively different than what we got. So I would say that by also saying, you know, I don't want to give false expectations of what we're going to recover, but it also does show that we made the right decision when we stopped that litigation years before the Huntington did.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could get any credit for our goodwill and our welcoming nature, because we're looking for solutions and we don't have them. Just parenthetically, Mr. Foxon will probably be sending along the mayor's letter for LIPA in the immediate future.
Yeah, don't forget, Bruce, we're going to be, you and I both knew, and this board knows, we're going to be knocking on Lipa's door again. So, you know, that
That's
goodwill
right.
goes a long way. And my Boston just came out. Did you guys hear that? Knocking on the door. Okay. We got Joe Palumbo. Joe, do you have a report for us?
The only thing I have to add that wasn't already discussed this afternoon is we received finally all the approvals to start imaging our building department records. So I would say not next week, but the following week that they will be picking up the first batch of records, and those will start to be imaged. And we will be, this actually segues very well because the admins training on the new building department software is actually starting this week as well on Thursday and Friday. So everything seems to be coming together where we will be operating much more efficiently and electronically in the building department in the next couple of months.
It's fantastic. I don't know, for the freshman trustee and others, just to remind you that we had authorized overtime for Cindy Suarez and Sue and some others of that department to come in early in the morning and stay late in the afternoon to go through every single record or file on the properties in this village, every single property file, and sort out, you know, the public record from the not public, you know, the exempt files, if there was any sort of litigation or whatever, and, you know, go through every file and tee up a tremendous amount of paperwork now that every file, every property file in this village will now be electronically recorded, from your CO to your, you know, to your survey to the last, you know, site plan revision. It's a tremendous initiative to protect our files and to be able to work in the 21st century. So very, very good. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate your help getting that thing over the finish line as well. And then I'm going to, perfect timing to pass the baton to our treasurer, who's already working with new software. Is that helping you?
Yes, yes, it
Good,
is.
Good. Okay.
Just wanted to report Tuesday, we had our tax sale. It was a success. We had 6 people show up. We did a lottery. One guy won and took them all. So everything was paid. So it was $138,000 that we had outstanding in taxes that we collected. And I just wanted to thank Brian and Chris Bianco for their help with all the legal aspects of it. And that's really a budget. If anybody has any questions on the worksheets that I handed out, you know, feel free, come in, call, email. I'll be there.
Great. Thank you, Denise. Great job in your department. Clerk Sakovich, how you doing, Barb?
Just that the next meeting is April 5th. And as we mentioned, it will be a public hearing as well as the budget.
And do we have a bed and breakfast, or is that the next meeting in
That's
April?
the next meeting, yes. That's the second meeting in April.
So the budget's the only public hearing?
Well, we have the, as we mentioned tonight, the parking on Barnum and the
Oh,
budget.
I'm sorry. Right, okay. Pardon me. And also, Barb, how are you doing with the outdoor dining permits? What percentage has come in to pick up?
We received 6 to date, and Rich and I worked on them, and they are all returned. We approved them all, and they're all back in everyone's hands. So now we're just waiting to receive additional. But everyone received in the village. Sorry.
Good. No, you'll get a next wave. The next time
Yeah.
there's a hint of warm weather, you'll get the next wave of applications, and that's
Yes, had
for
it been
sure.
nicer today, I'm sure we would have gotten a few.
All right, good. Thanks for your hard work as well. So I'm going to make a motion to, is there any public comments or questions come in during the?
I do have one.
Okay, good.
I do have one. Hang on one second. I just received an email comment from Sandra Swank saying that there are many great old photos that the Historical Society has that could be part of a window display.
Yes, that and the archive, I think we can print on the poster boarding that we have, the backing that we have. We'd love to see that. Thank you for that suggestion, Sandra, and that initiative. That the archive is definitely going to be listed as a resource for the landlords when they and that. By the way, guys, there's a section on the website. Ask Teresa to build that section, listing the code, the current code, and then building the list of artists. That is not a static list. It can change. It can grow. It's not finite. You don't have to use them. You can. There's just suggestions for people.
And regarding the archive room, that was one of the stories we were working on for the next newsletter about what they do up there and how to obtain those images for anybody.
Yeah, it's we just got that beautiful brand new printer that the Conservancy helped donate the funds for. The other printer had been up there. The Epson had been working for 14 years, and they just got a huge order from the Portchester Harbor Club for historical images. So I know the shipyard had placed an order when they opened. So the archive does a lot to service the public, and I'm looking forward to that story. So Kevin Wood, any other comments from the YouTube stream?
No other comments.
Okay.
Clear.
All right. With that, I will make a motion to close the public hearing of our new section 250-37.2.
I'll
Second by
that
Mr. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
And I make a motion to adopt section 250-37.2 to Article 8 of the chapter of 250 of the Village Code.
A second.
Trustee Casay seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And the next order of business is to adjourn, unless there's any further comment.
Move to adjourn.
So moved. Is there a second? Second, Trustee Snaden. All in favor? Great, guys. Thank you for a very efficient meeting. Well done. Keep up the